Marques Brownlee, aka MKBHD, launched a wallpaper app to a trove of negative reviews. What he did wrong and how could have done it differently? These are the two questions I want to answer in this video. And the reason why I care about those two questions is because I am business operations and strategist by heart. I've done it for 15 plus years for the startups. For the past 7 or so years, I've been focused on the creator economy. And I want to translate my skills into the creator economy so I can get creators paid a lot more and I can get CMOs and other companies out there to spend more on investing in the creator relationship. So these are the two goals that I have in my personal life, and this is why I'm curious to see how the product launches or software launches for the creators go and where could we improve the strategy so that you in the future can improve your approach. Let's talk about what Marques should do next. First and foremost, we're in a damage control situation. A lot of negativity is out there. People kind of like voicing their opinions left, right, and center. What should Marques do? In my opinion, there is no need for the video explainer or an apology. The quick gut reaction for any creator would be like, hey, let me turn on the camera, let me sit down there and explain what have gone wrong and what were my intentions. No one cares. The news cycle is so fast these days. People get canceled and we forget about it a week later. Presidents get shot at and we forget about it like 2 weeks later. So no one cares. Just keep going and move on. And the reason for that is number 2. Actions over words. No matter what Marques is going to say right now, he's just going to create more opportunities for folks to weigh in with their opinions, how they should have done it differently from the perspective of like advertisement, monetization of the app, how could he be sharing the revenue, all sorts of things, right? Kind of like myself, they're going to have a lot of opinions on it. So instead of really focusing on giving them more foundation with another video for the opinions or some sort of promises, explainers, posts on Twitter, just move on. Say, hey, we're working on some things, we're going to bake in some changes. They already deployed a few changes and they like minimized, or I think removed completely the ads. They made a few quality of life adjustments. Keep going, keep doing that. Do more of that and give it another like 6 to 12 months before you really start talking about it. Because if you deliver a lot of interesting changes and you increase the usability of the app in the next 6 to 12 months, it'll be a cool video to talk about it then. Like, hey, here's where it went wrong, here's what we thought it's going to be, here's how we crashed and burned, and here's how we improved it. That kind of video is a lot more interesting and valuable versus trying to explain yourself right now and trying to tell them about all sorts of ideas that you have for the future. Go deliver those ideas in the future and then come back and kind of like explain how it all went down. It's very similar to how Marques would say about, tools and software like, hey, don't buy a phone, don't buy a camera on the promise of future updates. Buy it on what it is right now. So him trying to explain it today will be like trying to sell them on the idea for the future. Go deliver that future and then tell them this is how we went about it. And finally, third point on this, definitely focus on the reviews. Right now, the big thing is that people, especially on like Google Play, they like tanked the reviews for this app. And it's going to actually affect the more generalist public, which I think this app is targeted for. We're going to talk about targeting in a second. Those are the folks who will be reading the reviews and looking to reviews when they're scrolling through the app store. So you really want to fix that. So as you kind of like improving the experience, you want to make sure you continue to prompt folks to review the app and hopefully you'll see trend up and you'll see more higher scores. Right now, trying again to go out to public, publish again, speak about the app on Twitter. All of this will attract folks who would want to just review bomb it. Focus on those who will actually be using it. Let them start using it. And deliver some new features, improvements to the quality of life experience within the app, and as they enjoy it, make sure they review it so that you can increase that score and you can attract more of a generalist public versus those folks who are very primed to either defend you or attack you for what you've done, maybe to some of their favorite companies in the past. And from all of this, the natural question is, what should have maybe Marques done differently with his team? And I have 3 thoughts on this. Number 1, this kind of app, and we'll talk about targeting, we'll talk about kind of like jobs to be done for your audience. I don't think this was like smack in the middle of the jobs to be done for the audience that he is delivering the content for. So instead of trying to go with like this launch within one of your videos, stealth launch. Don't even mention that you're associated with it. Let maybe people eventually discover it, but for the time being, just go stealth launch it. Let it be out there in the public. Start people kind of like collecting the feedback, collecting the reviews, improving the app. Get it ready for its premiere before you go wide out and say like, yeah, by the way, like this is my app. Again, a cool experience for you then to talk about it in the video and kind of like present it to the public. There's 6 months to a year of it being out in the wild on its own without any of your support. And now that you know that the core foundation of the app is good, go blast it out to your like 16, 20 million plus of followers online. this would be the first step. Just like stealth launch it and learn from the experience, especially because this is the first time Marques and his team are actually releasing an app. Second step, and he's kind of addressing it, but this is what I would make as part of that stealth mode, is that support it with UGC, user-generated content. You can already submit as an artist your work to be part of the panels app and essentially make one of those wallpapers. But instead of doing it right now, once there is this explosion of feedback from folks, I would use that 6 months to a year of stealth launch as an opportunity to basically give a new positioning, new kind of face to the panels app. Instead of saying, hey, this is just like a wallpaper app, this is an app that also helps the visual creators, the designers, to generate a new source of revenue. This is very important for the creators out there. This is why I talk about these subjects in my videos. So you can play that angle and you can essentially start positioning this app as a way of saying hey, we can help you as an artist to monetize your art. So why won't you bring it to our platform? And this is what I would have done in those first 6 to 12 months, really build up the platform of solid artists, solid content that they post there. Prove it with the way that you hopefully monetize it and you generate the revenue for those folks, so that by the time you're out of the stealth launch, people are excited. People are like, hey, yeah, love the app. We've been using it. So on the user side of things, artists will be like, hey, great. It helped me substitute and I don't know, make my car payment every month for the past 6 months. Some good positive vibe stories from both the users and the folks who are creating the content, so that now you have that foundation of very positive, very impressive experience. So people will be like, oh, wait a minute, Marques actually created this app. This is amazing, right? You all of a sudden create a very positive experience around launch versus, again, you open yourself up either way for some judgment, but there, instead of folks just trying to learn the app and trying to defend you as they kind of go and navigate the clunky experience, you have solid foundation of the app. You have people who are happy and their positive reviews out there for the past 6 to 12 months of stealth launch. And now you also have all the artists saying dude, this is awesome. You helped me with my revenue stream, which is very important for the creators, especially who don't have stable 9 to 5. And finally, I would keep it in the pocket. Don't try to make it more than it is. Honestly, if this is an app and people subscribe to it, they get the wallpapers, they use it on different phones, and as they switch phones, they can transfer those wallpapers and they're scaled properly, they're still greatest resolution possible. That's it. Don't make it some sort of community, and don't make it some sort of virtual experience. Don't add AI, don't add anything that's going to be hot in the tech by then. Keep it in the pocket. Make sure this is a nice and solid experience. It's going very well. And by the time it grows fast, further enough, by the time you, again, get the users happy, the experience is great, the content creators are great, I honestly, and it might be a controversial opinion, I would sell the app then. I would find a company like IAC who are great and they own, anything from Tinder to Vimeo. Sell it to a company like this who is very good at managing this kind of media apps, and let them cross-monetize it across their portfolio, make it a nice cool project, make a few $1 million on the sale, and that's it. Kind of wash your hands, because of the fact that this kind of app is not in that bullseye that I would expect Marques to use when it comes to creating products or services. His job to be done for the content is very different from what that wallpaper app is. For me, it's a distraction. It can be a fun distraction from him, but distraction nevertheless. So I'd rather shelve it off, sell it to another company, let them take care of that basically business, take advantage, grow it within their portfolio of companies, where you use those funds that you make, either set up the retirement or actually invest in another business that is a lot more in the core focus of your audience. And this is where I want to switch the discussion a little bit more from what had happened and what could have been done differently to more about how you should think about this kind of subject as a creator in the first place. And you've heard me time and time before, and I've mentioned it in a lot of my prior videos, I really love the concept of the jobs to be done when it comes to creators, because here's your consideration and comparison between two different creators of about, it used to be the same size. Actually, Mark Rober is almost at 50 million right now, which is crazy. Mark Rober had an awesome year or two. But Mark Rober in Crunch Labs is my favorite example of how well the product is associated with the type of value the creator provides. So Mark Rober, if you think about kind of as a creator, right, this is kind of the visual that I use from the value that he provides. He's kind of in this middle section of education, information, and entertain, probably more slanted towards educate and entertain. But all of the content that Mark Rober provides is great, fun entertainment. My kids love it. I see a lot of people of different ages love it, but he always sneaks in vegetables. He always educates you about this cool new gadget, this cool new physics, the law that he's leveraging, kind of to help you both be educated and entertained. And so when Mark Rober went back and created Crunch Labs, he really went ahead and created a product that also is very fun and entertaining, but also has a lot of educational value. It has videos that educate you on all the physics laws that are affecting the kind of like the build that you create, how you create the build. It teaches you a lot of interesting tricks within it, right? So there's a lot of the same value that you can receive, whether you watch Mark Rober's content or you play with Crunch Labs or Hackback. Now, with Marques, the value that he provides for me, he's not a designer. Like, yes, he has amazing visuals. Yes, the guy has impeccable style, but this is not why I watch his content. Like, if he would continue to shoot it on the webcam, I probably would still watch it because the guy knows how to deliver valuable information. Like, he's a great reviewer for the tech world. But design is just like that icing on the cake rather than something I value him for. The great example before was like his collaboration with Adam's Shoes. Big sneakerhead. I love sneakers. It was a fun, cool experience to buy his shoes in the original run and that high top red and black run. But like, it was okay shoe. Like, it didn't blew me away. It's like, hey, this is going to be my go-to shoe forever. Like, I still wear them and I enjoy them, but it's not necessarily something that I will go and buy again when he released the second drop or he recently did the low tops. Because again, it's like, it was a fun experience. I love Marques. I really respect him as a creator. Like, I wanted to support the guy, but this is not the value that I extract from him. So for me, that's a distraction rather than actual core value that he provides. So if I look back and I say, okay, where does Marques on this kind of like form, right? He's definitely, again, he's kind of like in that middle section between educating and inform, but I would say he's a little bit closer over here where he does some entertainment. The guy has a sense of humor, right? But he's not necessarily too leaning into like entertainment factor compared, say, to Mark Rober. So I would put him somewhere right at the top here where he's on the edge. There's some entertainment, but it's really a lot of education from the perspective of teaching us about tech or information about like reviews and telling us, hey, what's the latest and greatest in the world of tech. So this is where he is as kind of like a creator. So for me, when I'm thinking about, hey, I'm going to buy something for Marques, when he released the course, right, like he did one on Masterclass, he did one on Skillshare a little bit earlier, it was either about how you deliver information, how do you set up the videos, right, how he produces his content. Like, this is the stuff that I learned from him by watching his content, maybe, again, slightly adjacent to that more education side of things, but I jumped on it. I subscribed to Skillshare because of Marques, and I actually subscribed on the promotion to Masterclass because of Marques, because it was like, hey, this is a fair price for me to pay to watch and learn from him. And I actually learned quite a few things by watching that content. This is the kind of stuff I would pay him for. Same goes from the education and information perspective. Like, I would pay for his membership Discord community, which I think he has, where he essentially can just provide me more of that. He can provide maybe very detailed breakouts, maybe some behind-the-scenes videos about how they delivered and created the reviews, maybe a lot of information that just didn't make it into the final cut of the video. Like, give me more. Similar to kind of like how Linus Media Group for LTT, they manage their Floatplane. Floatplane essentially is a subscription service for LTT where you get a lot of bonus content. And as a fan of like LTT, this is an awesome place. Like, if you really enjoy watching their content, they're just saying like, hey, here's more. And there's some stuff that we didn't even put on YouTube because it wouldn't, well, monetize well. Same for Marques. It's like, hey, here's all the cool stuff that maybe didn't make it, or maybe we didn't spend as much time producing, so it wasn't really like YouTube ready, but here's for you as a fan, more information, more content, more education. This is the kind of things that I think Marques should focus on. Whenever I talk to creators, I always ask them kind of like, who's your audience and what kind of value you provide? You always need to ask yourself, what is the viewer hiring you to do, right? And it always comes back kind of like to this educate, inform, or entertain breakout. And you kind of want to place yourself and really hypothesize, at least if you're early on in your career, where do I belong? And as you continue to produce content, or as you continue to create more products, services, you know, maybe like events, you don't want to do some IRL stuff, always keep asking yourself, am I delivering on that value? Because for your viewer in their mind have a very specific idea of what value they're coming to you for. If it's education, like they're expecting to be educated. The moment they click on thumbnail with your face, the moment they think about buying the ticket to an event, they expect that, hey, I always get educated by this person. I expect more education from them in that event space or in that new video or in that new type of content that they provide. If you're an educational creator and I show up to the event and it's like a comedy show, I'll be very confused, right? Because you are not my entertainment value provider. So every time as a creator, you think about the new type of content, you're thinking about the new type of channel you want to create, you're thinking about physical product, digital products, services, any kind of thing that you're targeting at the same audience, ensure that you're providing the same exact value that the audience hired you to do in the first place. And if you say to here, like, I want to just break out, I want to do something else, that's fine, but be very explicit and don't try to push that same audience, say from your main channel to your secondary channel, just because you want to leverage that, hopefully millions of subscribers who you have. Because not only will you confuse them with this new type of content or value that you provide, but you're also risking actually detracting them from overall that cash cow that you currently have with your main content. So always be very thoughtful. People are easy to confuse, take seconds, and that's the same amount of time that it takes them to go and flip and switch to another video, to another piece of content, to another creator. And in the world of creator economy, we are fighting for the attention. We're fighting for the attention against TVs, books, other people, event spaces, other YouTube channels. There's so much competition out there. So a single point of confusion can completely detract that subscriber, that viewer from your content. So be very draconian when it comes to the kind of value you provide, how you incorporate it in your content, in your products and services, and don't get distracted unless that's the pivot that you're consciously making. And if you are making it, get ready for the kind of storm that Marques faced with the release of this app. So who knows? Maybe Marques sees that as his future and that's the kind of stuff he wants to do long term. That's great, but that's the kind of reaction he's going to get for a little while the entire community around him adjusts to this new version of him. If it's not his direction, if it was a fun experiment, a distraction, and no one was there like me kind of tapping him on the shoulder and telling him nah, don't do that. Go, fix it, 6 to 12 months, make it better, improve the experience, find someone to buy it and take it on. Use that money to invest in something that's a lot more down the lanes of what you want that value to be for that audience. And from then on out, hopefully you'll learn that experience, you'll learn that mistake, and maybe it'll be an interesting educational video from all of us where Marques will describe from his first-person experience what it was like, where it went wrong, and how they fixed it. So that's it. That's all I wanted to share in terms of what Marques did and kind of his content. If you like this kind of discussions, if you're curious to learn more, here's my links. You can always check them out. They'll be down in the description as well. Always happy to talk about this kind of subjects. Again, love strategy, love operations, love figuring out the businesses behind the creators, because I'm not that good of a creator, clearly, but I enjoy these subjects. I enjoy talking about the creator economy. I enjoy figuring out the problems and handling those different objections when it comes to businesses that the creators want to build. And usually my role is to detract you, to convince you not to do something in the first place, because that's usually the first motion. We all get excited about a certain idea. We really want to go with it. And you need someone like myself to sit down, hopefully deconstruct it, help you understand if you really want to do it, if it's a really good mix, and what kind of negative experience it might bring. And only then you will decide whether it's worth your time and your effort and all the potential expenses that you're going to incur. So yeah, I hope it was useful. Let me know in the comment section below if you'd like me to cover another kind of company created by another famous YouTuber, Instagrammer, TikToker, any kind of creator or influencer. Otherwise, I'll see you next Saturday. Peace.